رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما آمين يا رب العالمين. Inshallah, as today marks the beginning of the Tadrees session, where we have different topics for the 4 days of the week, inshallah, Monday being set for Tajweed. So the reason Tajweed is very important is because we hear the Quran all the time. We hear the Quran being recited every salah. We recite it ourselves in Dhuhr and Asr. We listen to it Fajr, Maghrib and Isha. And we fail to really understand the weight of it being the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? We may understand that the Quran, to us it's a book, but in reality it is the direct speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that descended from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala down to Jibreel alayhi salam to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam conveyed it to his companions, and from his companions to the tabi'een, and so forth down the generations. And this chain was preserved in all the different modes of recitation and has reached us. But it is not just the words that have reached us, it is not just the papers that have reached us, it is also the correct way to recite it, the ahkam, the rules, all of them have also reached us. And throughout history, we've had many great scholars who have dedicated their lives to ilm, and they have written many books and many pieces on this science. And the science of Tajweed is just like any other science, the science of fiqh, the science of nahu, or the science of tafsir, that this science is necessary for a person to become a person of ilm. Because how can a person truly become a scholar if they do not know how to recite the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly? If somebody claims to be a scholar but they cannot read at least the basics, then there's something problematic, because all the ilm eventually branches from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's kalam. They eventually branch from the Quran. And the hadith, they support whatever is in the Quran. There will never be a hadith that contradicts that which is in the Quran. So as the Quran being the core of everything, it is important that we know how to recite the Quran properly. We try our best. And of course there will be struggles, that nobody is perfect. Nobody knows how to exactly recite the Quran. And of course we try our best to recite the Quran as best as we can possible. Right? And if we struggle, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises double reward for the one who struggles. If somebody has a native tongue to Arabic, they may have very few struggles in reciting the Quran. Right? They may be able to recite fluently, their makharij may be better, but the one who has struggles to recite the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises them double reward as long as they push with a genuine intention and they make the effort to, inshallah, make their Quran recitation better and to recite with the proper rules of tajweed and makharij. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them generously. Having said that, inshallah, this session will be mainly for going over the rules of tajweed. And inshallah, the rules of tajweed are very vast, they're very deep, they can go very deep, and every single letter in the Quran, every single harakah, every single letter that comes in the Quran, each of them has a mizan, each of them has a scale, each of them has an exact way to recite them. And inshallah, this is a very long field, and this could be talked about for hours on end. But inshallah, we'll try to do as much as possible, as briefly as possible. And inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to benefit from each minute. Inshallah, so we will start with, we will go over basically the names. Of course, there are the rules of Nun Sakin and Tanween. So, Nun Sakin being a Nun, the letter Nun with the Sukun on it. Basically, for example, if we have Fatha, Alif Fatha, and then Nun Sakin is N. The sound N is the Nun Sakin. And Tanween is when we have two Fathas, or two Kasras, or two Dhammas. For example, N, In, or Un, this is Nun Sakin, this is Tanween. So Nun Sakin and Tanween. There are a few rules for Nun Sakin and Tanween. Firstly, there is Idhar, there is Idgham, there is Ikhfa, and there's iqlab. Right? These are the 4 rules of noon sakin and tanween. So inshallah, we will try to go through as much of this we can, inshallah. And so idhar, idgham, iqlab, and ikhfa. So let's begin, inshallah, with the easy one, which is idhar. And idhar, the letters are 6, right? So if we have noon sakin or tanween, followed by one of these 6 letters, we do what is called idhar. And idhar for itself comes from the word dhahara, yadharu, which means to make something clear, which means to make something apparent, which means to make something clear. So idhar itself means to make the noon sakin or make the tanween clear. So for example, when we recite for example, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. فَسَيُنْغِضُونَ. This is one of the few words in the Quran where the idhar comes, in fact, in the middle of a word. So we have the 6 letters are alif, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. Again, alif, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, and kha. Whenever these letters come after a noon sakin or tanween, we make idhar. For example, we have فَسَيُنْغِضُونَ. So we have fasayun, the noon is as noon sakin, followed by what we call is with the letter ghayn. And ghayn is one of the 6 letters, alif, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. So we say fasayun ghiduna, fasayun ghiduna. Inshallah, if you would like to try, inshallah, we can have that as well, if you'd like to. Fasayun ghiduna. Yun ghiduna. This is in Surah Isra. Yeah, فَسَيُنْغِضُونَ. فَسَيُنْغِضُونَ. Yes, inshallah. Would you like to? Inshallah. يُنْغِي. Let's do that, inshallah. يُنْغِي. Yes. يُنْغِضُونَ. This letter is very easy. It's the basic way we recite noon sakin. N, ben, ten. This is the way we make the noon clear. I can think of a different example. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيمًا خَبِيرًا. عَلِيمًا خَبِيرًا. عَلِيمًا خَبِيرًا. So the kha is followed by a tanween. The kha is followed by a tanween, kha being one of the idhar letters, alif, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha, and before it is a tanween. So, إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيمًا خَبِيرًا. Bismillah. Inshallah, that's correct. عَلِيمًا خَبِيرًا. عَلِيمًا خَبِيرًا. Aliman Khabira, correct. So this rule, keep in mind that if you want to write down the letters, inshallah, have a notebook, inshallah. So we have noon sakin, no gunna, nothing. Very, very easy, very straightforward. Aliman Khabira. Let me think of another example, inshallah. أنعمت, that is also one. So, Bismillah. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. أنعمت عليهم. We have an, which is noon sakin, followed by ayn. Alif, ha, ayn. So, أنعمت. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. أنعمت, correct. أنعمت. Yeah. So, this is, we've gone over how many letters? We've gone to kha, we've gone to ayn, and we've gone to ghayn. So we have alif left. So, an aminu. An aminu. وإذا قيل له وإذا عذابا أليما is also one. Yes. An aminu or عذابا أليما. So an, noon sakin, followed by hamza. We have an aminu or عذابا أليما. Very straightforward. if you want to go ahead and try. An amin. Correct. So we have alif, ha. Now we have ha to practice, inshallah. So I didn't get a chance to write down some examples. The format was a little, we had some technicalities, inshallah. So if you would like to look for some examples as well, like we can look for examples. Any noon sakin or tanween with ha following it, inshallah. Another example of tanween followed by alif is khalqan akhar. Khalqan akhar. So inshallah, instead of looking for examples, let's do this. So inshallah, we'll go to the first page of Baqarah, inshallah, and we can inshallah find any rules we find, inshallah, from any idhars we can find, inshallah, in there. So okay. إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم Right, so we have over here we have tanween followed by ayn. Alif, ha, ayn, ha. So we have sawa'un, which is dhammatain on hamza, followed by ayn. We can also keep in mind that this noon sakina, the rules for noon sakin and tanween. For noon sakin, we also have mim sakin. Mim sakin being mim with sukun. So for mim sakin, we have two rules, which is idhar and we have iqlab. So for mim sakin, only these two rules apply. So alayhim, sawa'un alayhim, a'anzartahum, alayhim, a'anzartahum. This mim here, we do idhar because it is mim sakin followed by hamza. عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. إلا أنفسهم وما يشعرون. This is also idhar of mim. ولهم عذاب أليم. ولهم عذاب أليم. Alright, inshallah. So let's move on to the alif, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. So I think everybody, inshallah, have you understood idhar, the rules of idhar? Alright, everybody understood, inshallah, the rules of idhar. So alif, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. Whenever these rules are preceded by a noon sakin or tanween, we do idhar, which is to make it clear. We don't do any ghanna, we don't nasalize, we don't merge, we don't do anything, we just say the noon as it is. We say the tanween as it is. If it comes as un, we say un. We don't say un or we say un. Clear and make the noon apparent, make the noon audible. So we have, and any of the, one more time, we have alif, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. Whenever these 6 letters come after noon sakin or tanween, then we do idhar. Moving forward, inshallah, we will go to the rule of iqlab. Iqlab is also one of the easy rules, but it entails also ghunnah. And before we go forward, the next 3 rules of iqlab, idgham, and ikhfa. These 3 rules include ghunnah. Now ghunnah, what is ghunnah? Ghunnah is a nasal sound. A nasal sound, and you hold the letter. So for example, if we're going to iqlab and we have the word the word min bayni, correct? Iqlab comes whenever there is a ba followed by a noon sakin or tanween, correct? So we have min bayni. So instead of saying min bayni, instead of making the noon clear, instead of saying min, like the noon sakin is min, and then we have ba after, instead of saying min bayni, we actually turn the noon and we put a mim in the middle. So we say min bayni or min bayni, but we don't say min bayni. We put ghunna. And what the difference between putting ghunna and not putting ghunna is this. If I don't put ghunna, I'm saying min bayni, min bayni. But if I put ghunna, I'm saying min bayni, min bayni, and I'm holding it for just a short amount of time, 2 harakat. I'm holding it for 2 harakat, and I'm making a nasal sound. Correct? So we have min bayni, min bayni yadayhi. So if you like to recite inshallah, min bayni, min bayni, maybe just a little bit longer. Min bayni. Inshallah, yeah. Inshallah. So we have another example here. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ أَلِيمٌ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ أَلِيمٌ بِمَا MashaAllah, that was good, yeah. كانوا يكذبون
عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون
So when we have the عذاب أليم, we don't say mun, we remove the noon. We say أليم مم بما. MashaAllah, yes, that was correct. So whenever we have a noon sakin or tanween followed by a ba, what we do is iqlab. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ. So we don't just do iqlab, we do iqlab with the ghunna. The ghunna being the nasal sound and the small hold. We do ghunna, which means we hold it, right? And we do this whenever there is a idgham, whatever there is a noon sakin or tanween followed by a ba. So inshallah, let's go over the rule of idgham. Idgham has 6 letters as well. Idgham has 6 letters. These letters can be remembered by a word, yarmalun. The word yarmalun, which has 6 letters, entails ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, and noon. Yarmalun. So if you memorize yarmalun, yarmalun, right? So ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, and noon. So whenever we have again noon sakin or tanween followed by any of these 6 letters, ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, and noon. Whenever we have these 6 letters before it, noon sakin or tanween, we do idgham. What is idgham? Idgham itself means to merge. What happens when you merge? The noon itself is not 100% clear. At the same time, it's not 100% gone either, right? So, for example, let's go with the example of ya. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. من يعمل. So whenever you have ya followed by noon sakin or tanween, we do idgham. So when we do idgham, we also do ghunna. Now, it is important to know that there is idgham of 2 types. There's idgham of 2 types. One is without ghunna, and one is without ghunna. Right? Ghunna being the nasal sound plus the hold. Right? So from yarmalun, there are 4 letters that do have ghunna. Correct? So ya, mim, noon, and waw. These 4 letters, yamnu, ya, mim, noon, waw, yamnu. whenever we have these 4 letters, before it is a noon sakin or tanween, we do ghunna. And whenever we have the remaining 2 letters, which is lam and ra, we do not do ghunna. So let's go over the letters of with ghunna inshallah first. So the first one being ya. So man ya'mal, and you can tell that I'm not exactly saying man ya'mal. I'm not saying man ya'mal. I'm saying man ya'mal. So the noon merges into the ya. Man ya'mal. But try to make more of a nasal sound. Make sure your nose is involved in this. Man ya'mal. Remember, whenever there's a ghunna entails using the nose. You're not supposed to, in general recitation of the regular ayahs or the regular letters, there should be no nasal sound, right? Because that blocks, the Quran should be recited from the throat. But for ghunna, we do use the nasal sound, right? Man ya'mal, you can hear the little, the hum or the nasal involvement. Man ya'mal. Yes, mashallah. You want to try it again? Mashallah. Just maybe try putting it from the back of your nose. Man ya'mal. Yeah. So this ghunna is it requires some practice to perfect, right? But it's important to know that ghunna is a nasal sound where you hold and you apply your nose, you hold it, and is equivalent to 2 harakat. For example, for me saying وَإِذَا, equivalent of وَإِذَا is the same amount of time that you should do مَن يَعْمَلْ, right? So that is for ya. We can inshallah go to the letter of ra, right? Now, actually let's go inshallah with the ghunna first. So after ya comes mim, yamnu. After ya comes mim. So one example of that would be وَيَعْلَمَ الَّذِينَ يُجَادِلُونَ فِي آيَاتِنَا مَا لَهُم مِّن مَّحِيصٍ. So we have again here mim sakin. Over here there's a mim sakin with idgham actually. So we have lahum mim mahis, lahum mim. So we have lam ha mim, which is lahum. Then after that is the word mim and then noon. So from the mim of lahum to the mim of min, we do idgham. We connect them and we do nasal. Lahum mim mahis. And then from min to mahis is another idgham. The first one being idgham mim sakin with ghunna. The second one being idgham noon sakin with ghunna. Right? Lahum mim mahis. You want to try inshallah? No? That's it, inshallah. So this is the letter mim sakin and nun sakin with idgham. Right? So moving forward, we have noon. Whenever there's noon, sakin or tanween, followed by its own self, followed by noon, then we also have ghunna. For example, minna. So over here we have is noon sakin from min, and then we have noon, fatha, alif and ra. Now, so we connect these two. We say minna, and we do idgham with ghunna on it. Minna. this one there's no meme involved. So we have just noon, two noons together. Minna. So we connect the noons and we do ghunna on it. Minna. Min. Yeah. So this is we've done firstly out of yarmalun we've done ya, right? Man ya'mal we've done mim, mim mahis we've done noon, minna, right? So that's three done. We have three left of idgham. So the last one of idgham with ghunna is wow. Now many times what happens is there will be a wow followed by a wow, and there is shadda involved, but there's no ghunna. This is a very common mistake in recitation and even in huffaz who memorized. The common example of ذَلِكَ بِمَا عَصَوْا وَكَانُوا. عَصَوْا وَكَانُوا. This is عَصَوْا is a wow followed by a wow. So there is idgham. We don't say ذَلِكَ بِمَا عَصَوْا wa. They're connected ذَلِكَ بِمَا عَصَوْا. But we don't say عَصَوْا. So inshallah, whenever you come across a wow with another wow, do idgham but no ghunna. So there's a mistake where some people they put the rule of noon on wow, right? So it's a side note, inshallah, if you ever come across a wow after a wow. So there's no noon involved in this, but it's a mistake that people do involve the noon, the rules of noon. But the rule itself of noon with wow is, for example, قالوا جزاؤه من وجد. So we have noon sakin followed by wow with so we have the noon. That's a different ruling, but it's just a side note because it's a common mistake that I wanted to mention. So قالوا جزاؤه من وجد. من وجد. من وجد. Yeah. So this is the final rule of idgham with ghunna. And inshallah, try to whenever you do ghunna, make sure to nasalize it, not just do the hold. It's different to say man wujida versus man wujida. There has to be the nasal involved. So we have finished from yarmalun the 6 letters of idgham. We finished the 4 letters of idgham with ghunna, right? So to go over quickly everything we've talked about so far, we have the rules of idgham, noon sakin, and idgham. Sorry, we have the rules of noon sakin and tanween, and we have the rules of mim sakin. Correct? So for noon sakin, we have idhar, idgham, iqlab, and ikhfa. We've done idhar, which is alif, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, khaf. Similarly, we have that for mim. We also have idgham for mim, and we also have iqlab for mim. So after from the idgham we finished. There's 6 letters, which is yarmalun. We've done the 4 letters which is idgham with ghunna. So out of the 6 letters of idgham, we've done 4 which do have ghunna. Now the remaining 2, which is lam and ra, we do not do ghunna on these letters, right? We connect them, we merge the noon with ra, and we merge the noon with lam, but we do not do ghunna, which makes it easier. For example, mir rabbika. I'm not saying mir rabbika, right? I'm saying mir rabbika, mir rabbika. Just quick, we don't say min rabbika. We merge the noon with the ra, but we don't do ghunna on it. Mir rabbika. Mir rabbika, yeah. Mir rabbika, mir rabbi, yeah. Yeah. So it's very easy, very just make sure not to say min. We don't put ghunna. Don't say mir rabbika. Just merge the noon into the ra, mir rabbika. Right? This final rule being lam. Correct? So the last rule being the last letter of idgham being lam. فَمَن لَّمْ يَجِدْ. So as you can see here, we have noon sakin followed by lam. So we don't say فَمَن لَّم. There's no ghunna. And we don't say فَمَن لَّم. We don't do ithar. We do idgham without ghunna. We merge without holding. فَمَن لَّم. So the shadda on the lam, so we do have the mizan of lam. So we say فَمَن لَّم. Correct. So inshallah today we will stop at the rules of idhar and we'll stop at the rules of idgham. Just to quickly inshallah go through whatever we did today one more time inshallah. There are and a side note that inshallah whatever we've talked about, all the examples we've done today, a lot of them were from noon sakin, but the same rules exactly apply to that of tanween. It would be the same if I said an or in or bun before the letter, right? And it's the same thing as if I had noon sakin before it, right? So all of these rules apply to noon sakin and tanween, right? And idhar being alif, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. And to remember that idhar means to make clear. It means to make apparent. It means to bring something into the light, make it apparent, make it visible, make it audible. So whenever you have alif, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha, after nun sakin or tanween, we make it clear, right? صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم عذابا أليما عليما خبيرا. Then we moved on to idgham. Idgham, which there is two types. Idgham with ghunna and idgham without ghunna. Both of them being yarmalun. Idgham with ghunna, yamnu, ya, mim, nun, waw. Idgham without ghunna, lam and ra. So whenever we have idgham with ghunna, we merge the two and we do ghunna, right? من يعمل من محيص من نار. Last one being قالوا جزاؤه من وجد. This is all ghunna. You can hear that I held it and I did a nasal sound on it, right? Which is equivalent to 2 harakat. Then finally we talked about idgham without ghunna, which is merging it but without ghunna. من ربك فمن لم يجد. So inshallah we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring us benefit into whatever we've learned today. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us people of the Quran, the ones who are close to Him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this Quran a light for us in our daily lives and make it the source of all goodness in this life and the hereafter. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the capability to recite the Quran to the best of our ability and the way that is most pleasing to Him. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.